Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this MaritzCX webcast. I'm Tom Evans, and thanks again for your patience as we were waiting to get started there. But we try to give everyone as much opportunity as possible to join us from the beginning of the presentation. So I'd like to just start a minute or so after the top of the hour. But again, welcome to today's webinar. It's titled Bringing Insights to Life, Enhancing CX with Video. And over the next 60 minutes, we'll be taking a look at how video is revolutionizing CX programs by offering a new perspective on how organizations kind of see, hear, and respond to their customers. And helping us do that is our special guest from LivingLens, Carl Wong. And I'll be introducing Carl more formally in just a minute. But as always, some things to know before we get started are the webinar is being recorded, and you will receive a copy of the recording in a follow-up email from MaritzCX. And that email should be in your inbox within the next 24 hours. And if you miss it, just reach out to one of us on the webinar today, and we'll be happy to send it your way. Secondly, we will have a Q&A session once Carl has finished his presentation. Please feel free to submit your questions at any time during the presentation, but just know we'll be saving those questions for the designated Q&A time. And if you do have a question, simply type it into that question box on your screen and hit submit, and we'll do our best to get to all of those before the program ends. Also, besides our main presenter, Carl, we will have two other CX experts joining us during the Q&A, and that would be Ali Putterman from LivingLens and Tom Martin from MaritzCX, and I'll introduce them more formally once we approach the Q&A session. But let's meet today's presenter, and that's Carl Wong. Carl hails from Liverpool, England, and is co-founder and CEO of LivingLens. That's the world's leading video intelligence technology company. Carl's career has been in consumer experience and insight roles, both on the client and agency side, and it was his passion for organizational change and storytelling that drove the creation of LivingLens. So I know we're eager to hear from Carl, so I'm going to turn it over to him now to learn more about how video is bringing insight to life. Carl?
Thanks very much, and thanks very much to our audience and for your time today. So let's jump in, shall we? The rate of change is faster than at any point of time in human history. Technology adoption is speeding up our ability to reach people with new ideas, products, and services, and with the right scale and network effects, we can reach millions of people quicker than ever before. It took 75 years for the telephone to reach 50 million users, and it took Pokemon Go 19 days. And it's not just about software or apps. For example, according to Adobe, close to half of all US consumers now own a smart speaker. Only 4 years ago since Amazon unveiled the Echo. So, this speed is driving great change across many different areas, as we all know. This technology adoption is driving huge volumes of data, and these volumes are going to get bigger and bigger. The IDC says the average rate per capita of data-driven interactions per day is expected to increase 20-fold in the next 10 years as our homes, workplaces, appliances, vehicles, wearables, and implants become data-enabled. This age of big data that we've been talking about for almost half a decade or more now is driving huge value in many different areas, such as precision marketing, genetics. But for many of us in the CX industry, finding the insight in that massive amount of data can be a challenge. And actually, the more data we have, the further away from humanizing and connecting with the consumer we seem to be, which is a real challenge. We're also seeing customer journeys become more complex with ever-increasing touch points and channels. 15 years ago, the average consumer typically used 2 touch points when buying an item, and only 7% regularly used more than 4. Today, consumers use an average of almost 6 touch points, with half of those regularly using more than 4. This poses additional challenges in understanding, measuring, and subsequently adapting those journeys to attempt to meet or exceed customer expectations. And we've seen the power shift more to consumers who have more control, more choice in how they interact with brands, social media, has provided a huge opportunity for consumers to engage with brands on their terms and in new ways. And we know that journeys aren't linear and people have swapped channels all the time. So we've seen consumers crave experiences more and more, not just transactions. There's an ever-increasing demand for communications and interactions to be relevant, timely, personal, and we all want to be treated as individuals. Our world as CX professionals is becoming more and more complex. And the reality is, technology adoption is happening hand in hand with this big data explosion, complexities of channel and choice, and the amount of data that companies hold is growing exponentially. It needs new skill sets, technologies, resources, willpower to get the very most out of it. And this is hard to make happen for lots of us. The growing amount of data in reality doesn't actually mean we are necessarily getting closer to the customer or indeed understanding them more. And we are still striving to understand the experiences. We need customers to provide us with rich, detailed feedback, but consumers are increasingly time poor. There's that difficult balancing act that we are constantly trying to strike between survey engagement, response rates, and feedback quality. That's because we're trying to understand real people, why they make certain choices, why they behave in certain ways, what they think and how they feel. Emotions are such an important part of our relationship with brands. And it can be such a personal experience too. Just one experience we have with a brand can impact our loyalty. But data doesn't always help to understand emotion and indeed engagement. We know that emotional connection that a consumer has with a brand is vital, but we also know it can be really challenging to capture. And the pace of change of expectations is really high too. What was great 3 months ago might now only be regarded as good. Technology continues to evolve to provide new opportunities and new competitive service. Constant improvements are needed just to stand still. And within our programs, our CX programs, it's not enough to identify what needs to change. You know, we have to activate, we have to inspire our stakeholders to take those decisions and make the right investments. If we aren't able to deliver our message with impact and influence and inspire change, then we fail. So that moves me on to why video. Video is helping to solve some of these challenges. It enables you to gain better, richer insight and drive greater business impact. There has been a cultural shift to video. You only need to look at any social media feed to see the abundance of video content. It's becoming a core everyday way of communicating for all of us. Video calls instead of meetings, watching a how-to video on YouTube instead of reading a manual, Skyping with friends, using FaceTime, using Google Chat. There's so many different ways that it's part of our day-to-day. You know, think about just you personally. In the last week, have you recorded a video using your smartphone or any other device? Have you actually shared any video with another person, whether it be social or one-to-one, using messaging apps such as WhatsApp? It's really becoming an ingrained way of how we communicate with each other. You know, and there are so many of us willing and able to use video technologies. And why is that? You know, it's easy to do because we don't necessarily think about this wonderfully innovative set of technologies that we're working with. We just think about how easy and convenient it is for us. It saves us time, and it's often much more engaging. It's great to see people and connect emotionally, and it's so much more engaging when compared to text. Video is also much more memorable. which is why videos and social media stories have become so popular, both in terms of how we communicate with each other and in terms of advertising spend around the globe. From an insight perspective, we also get much richer data. We get, on average, at least 6 times more words than the equivalent open-ended text response in a survey. Now, why are those open-endeds there? They're there because for all our survey questions that are numeric, we strive to understand the why. We strive to understand that diagnostic on why people are giving us those scores, what's driving those attitudes and behaviors. And in that regard, video opens up a much richer set of data for us. And importantly, where we are striving to drive change from our CX programs and the insights that they deliver, videos are the ideal medium for powerful storytelling. The reality is the more senior someone becomes in a business, it's very likely the more and more distant they are from the customer and indeed the customer's experience. Video can bring those insights to life for senior execs and really put the customer in the boardroom. So let's extend that further to why video for CX programs. Now, the content on this slide is based upon extensive feedback that we've gathered from CX professionals across many different sectors who we talk to about their challenges. And we also talk to them about how video can help overcome some of those challenges. Video is the ideal medium for gaining deep understanding of that customer experience beyond what we can just see through our text-based experience or our numeric experience. It helps you go beyond ratings and comments to understand how customers really feel. And it brings the customer to life. You cannot underestimate the value of seeing a passionate, articulate customer talking about their wants and needs. It's the closest thing to meeting customers face to face. And also, let's not forget about the experience for the customer themselves. Video and audio capture offers something that is easy, that aligns with how they communicate with their friends, family, and with the wider world, and can be used alongside traditional survey questions to provide choice in how people can give feedback. Video is immersive, it's engaging, it provides freedom for consumers to tell you what they think. It provides more of a connection. They feel like they are talking directly to your brand, and that's a consistent piece of feedback we get again and again. And once you have all of this video, the technology exists to enable you to efficiently surface data within that content, access meaningful content quickly and easily, and build impactful stories really, really easily that really make your insight and your data sing when you're delivering that to internal audiences, and we'll be showing you that shortly. So the value of video is a trend that isn't slowing down, and it's easy to see why. We talk about video providing deeper, richer insight, but what do we really mean by that? And hopefully you can see that on screen here. If we compare what people say in a video response to what they write in an equivalent open-ended text question, as I said earlier, we see at least 6 times more words, but often we also see mini documentaries. People take us on real journeys. People will say much more than they write, which not only provides you with more detail about a given theme, but also more themes are being talked about. They take us on journeys. They let us into their experiences much more. And actually, if you think about that even more analytically, video really is a rich data source. Not only do you get more words like for like, but with artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies, we can understand the sentiment of those words deeply. We can understand the key themes that are being discussed, both within an individual video and at great scale. And video also reveals people's emotions. We can extract that data set, facial expressions, tone of voice. And video also gives you the additional context in terms of you can understand more about a person. You can connect with them and automatically get a working knowledge of their life and their preferences by seeing them, by seeing their surroundings and understanding how they express themselves. Video really is, it's the unfiltered, inescapable, humanized truth. So with that in mind, we're now going to move into our demo. So a video will shortly pop up over the top of your slide, so do not close it. Our demo lasts for about 18 minutes, and then it will close automatically, and we'll finish with a few more slides. So let's just go ahead and launch our demo.
My dealership sent me a survey invitation after I had my car in for an oil change. It wasn't a great experience, so I clicked 6 on the question in the invitation, and I'm carried over into the survey. I want to let them know that my experience in the dealership was okay. The greeting I got was fine. The comfort of the waiting area and the wait time, etc., was great. The condition of my car upon return was not good, though, so I rate them a 1 there. And I want to provide feedback, but I want to do it through video so that I can actually show them my vehicle. So I click the Yes, I'll record a video link, click Next, and the LivingLens widget is embedded right within my survey. All I need to do to provide video feedback is tap on the widget to get started, and the camera right within my phone takes over. I'm going to record a video and upload it for my dealership to hear my feedback. Hi, I just got my oil changed, and when I picked up my car, it was actually dirtier than when I dropped it off, and I really have an issue with that. I paid for the car to be washed, and there was no sign that it was washed. There were actually some scratches on it that weren't here when I started. Looking around the interior, I can see that it hasn't been vacuumed. It's still really dusty. This is something that I paid for, and I'm a little upset that the car wasn't completely serviced as expected, and I'd like to talk to someone about it. Thank you.
Okay, as we saw, our customers can take advantage of LivingLens and provide feedback through video right within the MaritzCX survey. Our customers, the business owners, the people collecting this information are also going to be able to leverage that video in a number of different ways as well. And so let's think about how we might use that within the MaritzCX platform. So in this example, I'm a dealership manager. I manage a number of different dealerships. I'm part of a large dealer group across the country, and my dashboards are showing me the key scores from different customer touch points. And in this example, I log in the morning and I'm looking at my overall scores for sales as well as after sales, the service portion. And I'm in sales, we're actually doing really well. We have a 77 NPS against a goal of 75. The overall trends are really good. Earlier this year, we had some dips, but I really like the direction we're going here. In terms of service, we're not doing so well. I have a 47 NPS score against a goal of 70, and my scores as I trend them are flat. Not really good. So I need to dig into this and see really where the issues are here. So I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive, and we'll go into my service, my after sales dashboard, and we'll look at some of the key scores there. My dashboard, of course, is my permissions only allow me to see scores for the dealerships that I manage. Someone at the corporate level could have a wider view across the entire organization. But this is really relevant to me, and it helps me do my job more effectively. Good news here is that the number of cases we're getting is dropping. So I like what I see here. We're trending down. For the cases that we do have, we've resolved about 57%, and about 32%, about a third of them are still in progress, with a slight number overdue. We're setting goals to respond and resolve these cases. So those are some cases that I might want to dig right into and make sure that the team is aware of that and working on them. I'm tracking my cases and by how quickly we can resolve them. I like what I see here. About 42% of my cases are closed within 4 days. A little more than our goal would allow, but really not too bad. We do have some cases lingering. I want to dig into that. I can see as my team is classifying the cases, all of the root causes are rolling up into this dashboard, as are all the status and priority and everything that we've seen so far. So this is really helpful to know that about 45% of the cases we get are a result of the staff. And I can drill into that and really understand what that means. It's, you know, our customers talking about their responsiveness, their knowledge about them, our vehicles, and overall process here, as well as just being professional. So these are things I'm going to, this is feedback I'm going to use to help coach my team, make sure our customers get a better experience and they really know how to, that, you know, they should be working to uphold our standards. I want to highlight some key cases, and so I have an element here within my dashboard that shows me some new and in progress cases. I can see that there are a number of cases here where customers have provided video, but they haven't been picked up yet. No one's working on them. We did see, you know, where some cases I should say, are lingering. So let's dig into that and see what's going on here. So this is the survey response that the case was created from. I'm going to get back to this. I want to go over to my actual case form. And this is going to give me the basics, help me understand why this case was created and what I need to do to respond to it and resolve it quickly. So it's a fairly new case, only about 2 hours old. We have a goal of 8 hours to respond to the customer, so I need to get going on that. We have an SLA to resolve it, to close it in about 2 days, excuse me. So the clock's ticking there. Those are really nice visuals on the chart, but on the case form, but we can actually trigger action based on these. So I could receive a reminder as I approach the limit to respond to the customer, just reminding me to you know, reach out, let the customer know we're working on this case. If I exceed that, the time to respond, we can actually escalate the case, increase visibility on it, and make sure that we're responding quickly and that these stay on our radar. So these are really helpful for me. I can see why the case was created. It's a service detractor case. That means that they scored us a 6 or less on the likelihood to recommend question. It was automatically assigned to me as the dealership owner, but I have my backup, Chris, as the watcher on this case. He has shared access to this case as well. Now, I know the case came in. It was a case from Tom, our customer here. He was just in the other day to get a tune-up on his vehicle, so I can see that. Here's the score that he provided. The score is the feedback, and I can see that, you know, we got a 6 on the likelihood to recommend question out of an 11-point scale, and it looks like the experience he had coming into the dealership, being greeted, even the wait time and amenities, he scored us really well, but the condition of his vehicle is something that he's having an issue with. So here's the transcription from my video. I can look at this, start to understand what's going on here. So we didn't wash his car properly after, and, you know, really, if I'm thinking about root cause, that really goes back to, I would say, the quality and completeness of the service that we provided to him. So I'm going to start to manage this case as just right here on the fly. What I want to do, though, is I want to dig into the video a little bit and see what that looks like. So I click over and into the LivingLens interface. The link takes me right in there. I can see the transcription. I can actually play the video, and you can see that the transcription is highlighted along with the video, so I know exactly what they're talking about. That's really helpful. I can hear the tone. I can see the facial expression. I can actually see the vehicle here as well and what he's talking about. So this, I think, is really helpful to me. It gives me much greater insight and dimension into my customers' feedback. In addition to that, LivingLens will classify the video according to different objects that they're picking up. So my car's exterior, I can jump right to different parts in the in the video where we're showing those things as well. So again, it helps me get to the different points in the video that I care about much more quickly and easily. So I really like this element of LivingLens. It helps me understand what my customers are really telling me, lets me see and really kind of experience their feedback as if they were right in front of me. And it's a really great addition to my CX program.
Thanks, Tom. So in addition to really bringing an actual case to life and being able to watch individual videos, we can also leverage the LivingLens platform to really bring the entire big picture to life to figure out overall what's going on with the customer experience within my dealership. And there's a few ways that we can leverage the platform to do that. First, there's this analytics dashboard tab that's available. And what you're seeing here is a variety of different ways to actually analyze exactly what's going on and the emotional drivers behind all of the content within the video. So we can always look at the video from a sentiment level and figure out which videos do people have an overall positive sentiment or an overall negative sentiment. And we can even dive to specific moments and specific minutes within the video to show me how people's sentiment is changing over time, depending what they're talking about. Along those lines as well, we also have key themes that we can begin to look into. So maybe I just want to get an overall view about what people are talking about when they're talking about the experience at my dealership. So in these cases, we can see here people are talking about the salesperson. Was I given a good deal? Did I have a great experience? Did they take me out for a test drive? So really, I can leverage this to figure out what the key themes are that people are associating with my dealership. On another level, we can also really begin to understand the emotional and the human element behind all of the videos that we're capturing as well from my customers. By actually analyzing what's going on with their actual facial emotion. So here I can understand the aggregate facial emotions amongst all of the videos, but I can also dive in deeper to figure out the exact moments where different facial expressions are occurring. So maybe I want to understand exactly, which videos and what moment in time people are joyful when they're talking about my customer experience. Similarly, we can analyze the tone in someone's voice. So maybe like the video that Tom showed, they're not actually showing their face to show their emotion that way, but they're expressing their emotion through the tone in their voice. And so we can also begin to analyze and dive deeper into each of the videos where people are expressing a specific tone and that emotion. Additionally, we also have our object recognition cloud. So what I can do here is I can understand if maybe people are showing me some issues that they're having in the waiting room or issues with the way that their car was returned to them. We can actually see which objects people are talking about most commonly within videos and within images as well. And then we can also kind of filter down through a variety of custom filters that are available too. So these could be previous questions within your tracker. It could be an NPS score. It could be demographics. It could be my segmentation of my customers coming. And everything on these dashboards are dynamic as well. So if I really wanted to dive deeper into, what are the videos where people maybe have an NPS score of a 4, for example, I can actually click on that section there. And then what I'm able to see is I'm able to see that in the one video that's available with an NPS score of a 4, I can see that at some point people are expressing critical thought. So they're really thinking back on their experience. I can see the types of words or the types of themes that people are talking about with this. So maybe this has to do with the actual dealership. What was the warranty? What was the service like? What was the work that was done? And overall, as we would expect, the overall sentiment of the video is going to be negative as well. So if I want to learn a little bit more about this, I can actually jump back into the media library, and then I can click onto that video to view exactly what they're talking about and really see the emotion in their voice. So if we were to play this video here, we'd really be able to definitely understand why they gave an NPS score of a 4. So I'll just play this for a minute so you can see what he's talking about here.
The car went into the dealership for a service, and after the service, they told me I needed to get new tyres on the car, and they'd be $1,200. So I thought I'd just get a quote from somewhere else, and I took it to a tyre shop. When I was at the tyre shop, they told me I didn't need new tyres, and they had a long time left before they would need to be replaced. So I don't think I'll be taking it back to the dealership once the car's outside of warranty, because I'm not sure I can really trust them in terms of what they might want me to get done and what work might be required.
So you can see here the customer was obviously frustrated that they didn't really trust what was going on at the dealership. So that gives some good additional insight to maybe, brand out as being more trustworthy to your clients as well. Additionally, if you weren't exactly sure, what you were looking for, what clients are actually talking about your dealership, there's a few other ways we can help you narrow down all of the content that you've captured as well. We do add on the ability to have filters on all of these videos as well. So maybe you wanted to understand, what different people are talking about. So what was their overall experience at the dealership? What was the interior of their car look like when they were returned after the dealership? Is there a difference in how we're treating females versus males? Is there a difference in the car type that people are bringing in? So maybe you just want to filter down to understand a little bit more about the different videos that are coming in and see if there's any additional themes that we can pull through that way as well. Additionally, every video that comes into the platform is automatically going to be transcribed, and that really powers the efficiency and the effectiveness of the LivingLens platform, because you have the ability to understand overarching key themes, keywords people are presenting, and even search for specific moments in time. So I can also click on this word here to identify which words are most commonly said throughout all of the transcripts around my dealership. So we can again look at things like word experience, the dealership. Maybe I want to learn more about what was fantastic. How well is the car's driving after we complete our service? So you can always use this as a dynamic way as well to filter down in videos that are going to mention these specific words. Additionally, you can also search for any keyword as well. So again, we're talking about customer service and experience with service at my dealership. So maybe I just want to search the word service, and all I have to do here is type in the word. I click enter to search. And now I'm only going to see 7 videos that at some point mention the word service within them. If I then click into an actual video here, you're going to see that the word service is also going to be highlighted within my transcript as well. So I can click through all of the individual moments when that word is mentioned, rather than having to potentially walk through multiple minutes or maybe even, hours of different content to see what people are talking about when they're talking about service. So if we look at this first point here, when he's mentioning service, he's saying that they were really attentive, they greeted him right away, and most importantly, they were able to diagnose the problem and get it fixed the first time. So this gives me a lot of key insights as to why someone was having this great dealership experience. And so maybe what I want to do is I want to actually put together a bunch of different points explaining what customers really appreciate that's going to get us those higher NPS scores. What I can do at this point is I can actually create a clip to bring my end customer to life and really help close that gap between whoever's running the dealership or who's ever working at corporate and the end customer. So what I can do is I can actually highlight the clip I like. So I'm going to highlight him talking about them being attentive, diagnosing the problem, and getting it fixed the first time. And then I can actually click this scissor icon here to create a copy of that clip that I want to present out to leadership. So if I hit the scissor icon, I can give the clip a name. I'm going to call it attentive. And then I can either add it to an existing show reel or a theme that I want to present out on, or I can create a new show reel. So I'm going to add this onto my customer experience one, hit create clip, and then I can try to find, 5 or 10 or however many different clips of people talking about their positive service experience, create a show reel that, again, I'm going to present out and really be able to drive home all of the emotion and all of the positive or potentially negative thoughts around what's going to make my dealership most successful. So it's really bringing that human element to life, drawing on people's emotions and being able to drive change and close that gap between the customer and those being able to make the decision to make sure that your company and your dealership is going to be most successful.
And so with that, sorry about that pause. So, with that, let's bring it to life even further with a short case study for you. Brands are already seeing the benefits of incorporating video into their CX programs. So let's talk about a real client, Xcel Energy. 86% is the number of issues resolved on first contact. So having a CX program with video has helped the call centers understand the customer more, so they're equipped better to resolve problems first time. There's been a 15% reduction in call center operating costs, improvement in problem identification, call management, prioritization, first time resolution, all leading to a reduction in costs. And perhaps most importantly, Xcel Energy has seen a 10 times increase in the number of customer contacts and associated problems resolved since implementation. You know, these are really powerful KPIs, I'm sure you'll agree, that clearly support the business case of program implementation. The program has aided the identification and management of customers that need intervention without any increase in costs. So as we move towards our last few minutes before we get to questions, let's think about some key considerations. So although video is super simple to include, there are some key considerations to ensure you get the most value from incorporating video. And first of all, you need to consider, where can video add the most value? Is it in storytelling? Is it in delivering that greater impact internally in terms of your key stakeholders and putting that inescapable truth of the customer in front of them? Is it to provide greater case management so that you can be much more proactive in understanding who that consumer is and resolving their issues and connecting with them? Is it to understand at scale what is our trend, what is our insight? Or indeed, is it all of the above? This can really guide you in terms of where you should incorporate video, and indeed who you should ask for video feedback and when. For example, are there aspects of the journey that you don't deeply understand enough in detail and you want to reach that diagnostic level for a specific circumstance or part of the journey? Focus on those areas first, as opposed to adding video questions for everyone. Another rich area that we often see is that you may want to capture more specific details from detractors from that low NPS scoring group to really understand their journey. And indeed, vice versa, the top end of the scale, where we can really see what success looks like and what it feels like. That's also fantastic content to be able to keep people motivated, to show them where that hard work and effort is resulting in that great feedback from a customer. It's not just about a tangible, high-scoring NPS number. It's also about, and look at the emotion, the experience that the customer is able to share with us. It's such a way to create that engagement and that connection with emotionally with customers for your staff. Alternatively, you may find that video feedback from a broad base of customers is useful, but you may turn that on and off depending upon the time of year or the part of the journey that you're in, or the rhythm of your business as well. You may also find that it's hard to convey what a particular score actually means or feels like to a customer, and the numbers can sometimes feel disconnected to an individual's experience. Those are great instances where video provides the perfect opportunity to show your stakeholders what that feels like. So video can also be really valuable to help deep dive on certain topics or important business priorities, whether that, for example, might be retailers on Black Friday or Christmas to unlock more detail about those experiences. And I'm sure you'll have examples where that's relevant to your business too. So To summarize today's session before we do move on to any questions you may have. Number one, video is really easy to implement and to use. As you've seen in our demo earlier on today, the platform is very user-friendly. And by following some simple guidelines and best practice advice, you're able to get rich, high-quality feedback from real people and humanize the customer. And video is the ideal medium to share powerful stories and drive and inspire change. It helps to add color to scores, provides a valuable connection between stakeholders and your customers. And it's really hard to ignore. It is that inescapable truth of the customer. We'd also encourage you, number two, to think about where can video really add value. There are many ways to incorporate video and indeed audio into your customer experience programs. If you are just starting out, you may want to focus on a key customer segment, a particular journey pain point, or indeed a way to engage stakeholders more readily. And number three, to get the most value from video, think video first. So many people are already using it all of the time in their consumer lives. Consider survey design so it's easy as possible for respondents to give you feedback and that they are informed that video and indeed audio options are available for them. Offer them all. It's not about one or the other. Offer options of text, audio, and video to maximize the feedback you get. Really humanize the customer and get the opportunity to tell really impactful stories that drive change in the business and uncover and surface a deeper level of diagnostic insight to understand what's driving consumer emotion. Thanks very much for your time today. It'd be great to take questions.
Hey, great. Thank you so much, Carl. Appreciate it. Great content and delivered really well. I mean, that demo was really helpful in understanding the power of video, and no doubt, those organizations capable of capturing that data and insight, I mean, they're going to be much better positioned for future success, definitely. So we're going to jump into the Q&A session now and get some of those questions that have been asked during the presentation, as well as any that you submit now, and there's a bunch of them. So, but before I do, real quick, as I mentioned earlier, we're being joined during this session by Ali Putterman from LivingLens and Tom Martin from MaritzCX, both experts in the field of integrating video and enhancing CX programs. Ali is Business Development Director at LivingLens, and she has over 5 years in market research industry. She works with clients across a variety of industries and has experience in segmentation, innovation, product testing, and understanding how to improve and personalize the customer experience. So very happy to have Ali joining us. And then we also have Tom Martin, who is Senior Director of Solution Consulting at MaritzCX. And that's where he and his team engage with customers to enable successful world-class customer experience programs on the MaritzCX platform. And he's held different sales and sales engineer and client success roles with leading technology-centric providers for more than 20 years. So just to recap, our Q&A expert panel consists of Carl, Ali, and Tom. So let's get to those questions. And I think, Ali, right off the bat, there was one that came in that might be suited for you. And this person wanted to know what's the time frame a customer video goes through moderation and is publicly posted.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So the way that this works, and hopefully the demo helps bring this to life a little bit, but the idea is that none of the videos that are captured in this method are going to be publicly posted. So there's a variety of different ways that you can actually capture this feedback from customers. So it could be in a survey, it could be video that they're taking on their phone, but the idea isn't that they're going to be posting it publicly. They'll be posting it back to a different, either capturing it through the survey or getting that video into the LivingLens platform so that it can be used for internal research purposes. It is possible that you can ask respondents if it's okay to use their video in marketing, but that would definitely require additional consent. So really, it's just about however you're going to capture that video. If you do use any of our capture tools, it'll automatically go into the LivingLens platform. But again, nothing will be posted publicly.
Cool, great. Thank you for that clarification. This question is, they work for a healthcare company, and they're trying to visualize how this would be in play for their thousands of members. What is the sample size that you would recommend to use LivingLens effectively?
Hi, it's Carl here. Let me jump in here. So we see a broad range of sample size and response levels. That can be as low as 0.5%. We can see it as high as 10%. The reality is, what is the purpose of the exercise? If what you're trying to do is humanize and visualize the customer, be able to tell stories and be able to connect with them more, then actually it's not about a minimum level of response rate. It's about the fact that you're going to be able to see the customer every day. If it's about driving deeper diagnostic, then it's about focusing on the right audience and making sure that good design applies, that your members are aware that they can use video and audio, and then you'd be perhaps pleasantly surprised on the level of engagement. It's not about having to have millions of customers across the country or across the world. We run studies in B2B environments where there are hundreds of rather than thousands of members, and it's about the level of option and engagement there. So I think storytelling and engagement is such a core use case across the piece, and diagnostic deeper understanding can come from that as well.
Okay, great, thank you. How long does this take to set up? There's a few questions related to that, the timing on these, from when a video is received and then uploaded to a dashboard.
I guess that's a two-part response. Carl, do you want to handle the LivingLens side?
Sure. So from when a consumer records a video, the next time that they are on Wi-Fi, that video will hit the LivingLens platform. So effectively in almost real time. We then use machine learning to transcribe that content using machine speech recognition. And that is available almost instantly. And over the following 24 hours, that is QA'd to sort of human transcription level. But the ability to access that data is almost real time.
Okay. And Tom, did you have a follow-up from?
In terms of setup, I can just comment on the level of effort to set this up. It generally is a really quick setup time. Of course, we want to put some governance around the launch of this, but we can work with our customers to enable their surveys for videos very, very quickly.
Great, thank you. So I'm just going verbatim. It says, this information is fantastic and so insightful. So we focus on both the customer and team member experience. Could this also be applied to team members in helping us gauge the team members' experience as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Employee engagement and team member experience is a core use case in terms of LivingLens technologies. It's not something we've touched on today, but we've got clients who really embrace that as well and joins up that overall experience piece as well. It's also a great way for you to drive customer closeness programs as well, in terms of employees using the technology to record their day-to-day interactions, and indeed, their more proactive programs of customer closeness as well.
Okay, great. And are there limitations of video? So as far as mobile and computer Android and Apple, any OS version? Are there any limitations, I guess?
No limitations really from our side. Oh, go ahead, Carl.
Sorry, Ali. So the limitations are in the very, very small minority. There are a bunch of seamless technologies behind this. So anywhere where you've got a connected device and a camera, that can utilize this technology. It isn't necessarily about cell or mobile infrastructure, but it is to an extent about broadband infrastructures and internet infrastructures. But the technology is being developed to be incredibly efficient in terms of it being able to operate at low bandwidth speeds. I think the other thing to note as well is it isn't just about video. We've showcased video today because it is so rich, but we also work comprehensively with audio as well. It opens up that deeper sort of response level in terms of the amount of words that you get, but obviously it isn't quite as effective in terms of storytelling. But from a technology perspective, in terms of app coverage, global coverage, bandwidths, and infrastructures, it's pretty seamless.
Okay, great. And so a lot of people maybe think that video is more conducive, I guess, to the younger demographic. Do we have any thoughts there, or is it a wide range, or that may be a question for you, Carl, or Ali, or?
Ali, why don't you take this one?
Sure. So yeah, a lot of questions that we get are often that people believe that the consumer that's going to respond with video is going to be of millennial age. But we've really found that everyone will respond with video. We've definitely had people, respond with video in the healthcare space and showing us their entire journey from healthcare. We've had wealthy, middle-aged people respond when they're talking about financial questions. We have had males, we've had females. Really, it depends on what you're asking them about and how you position it. But really, we see video responses coming from everyone. Like Carl talked about earlier, it's just a really simple mechanism for everyone to use, and people of all ages prefer to just be able to speak. It's easier than being able to type out or write out their response. So we do see a variety of demographics and people of really all types across all over the world being able to respond with video.
Cool. And so Tom Martin, do users have the ability to remain anonymous?
They do, actually. LivingLens enables users to blur their face as they're taking the video. And so that will obviously protect their privacy.
Okay, great. So in talking about maybe an auto dealership, how does the dealer provide the link to the customer so that they can upload a video?
Sure. The video is embedded in the survey, so it really depends on how the user accesses the survey. Generally, they could send out an invitation to the customer via email. The customer would access the survey through the invitation, and the video would be embedded in that.
Okay. And then
so just to add to that, sorry, Tom. Just to add to that, if I may. So from the customer's perspective, it's seamless. They never leave the survey environment. It's simply when they choose to leave a video and click on that link, we open up the camera on their device, and then after they've recorded the video and submitted that, they accept that video. Then they move straight back into the survey environment. So from a customer perspective, the journey is seamless. It's not clunky. They're not moving into different environments. It just appears to be part of a seamless survey experience for them.
Right. They don't have to download anything to access it.
Nope.
Okay, great. And I think maybe, Carl, you addressed this a little bit in the presentation, but have you seen a change in response rates when using video?
That's interesting. So we don't force, we wouldn't recommend you to force somebody to leave a video. But when you see, when you have a question in your survey that is an open-ended text question, following that scale question, you know, why did you leave that score, or how can we improve? Then adding the options of video and indeed audio, as well as text, will almost certainly increase your response rate. It will increase the amount of data that you capture during that question, not just in terms of the individual level of information video or audio respondent gives, but obviously adding that into your overall aggregated data set as well. We typically are finding that the level of engagement with individuals who are happy to use video is growing, and the amount of themes that they are talking about, as I mentioned earlier, is much bigger than just when they leave text. You know, when someone leaves text, they're typically telling you about one thing. When they talk about video, they're typically telling you about 3 or 4 different things.
Okay. Tom Martin, does LivingLens have the ability to translate and transcribe video feedback into English? We also had a question about, does it work in French? So maybe a multilingual type question.
Yes to both. We can translate and then transcribe responses that are in non-English into English. The LivingLens team can provide quantities of languages, but yes, they have full translation capabilities.
Yeah, so this is Allie. To add on to that as well, we've worked with about 45 languages to date, so there pretty much isn't any that we can't work with. French is absolutely one of them. And so within the platform, you would be able to see the native transcription and the English translation. So even if you are working across the world, you should be able to follow along in whatever language.
Nice. And we just have about a minute left. Just a kind of a follow-up. Someone was asking if we had any stats regarding response rates for selecting video versus selecting open text.
That's a good question. So there are lots of variables at play there, you know, in terms of, I'll just qualify my answer before I give it, but lots of variables, you know, survey design, engagement with the brand, different sectors and verticals, and then in terms of geography and geodemographic elements as well. But basically, we see that if in terms of the proportion of people that are leaving open-ended text, that typically we're getting between another 10 and 20% of people who will leave a video or audio. Good.
And Carl, 30 seconds on what's the future of video in CX, and then we'll get a wrap on today.
So some of the most exciting stuff that we're doing at the moment is very much around emotional engagement. So not just from text sentiment, but specifically from facial emotional engagement and tonal engagement. And we are driving data science evolution, focusing upon those data sets that basically say that the level of engagement someone has in a brand, the level of intent that they have is much stronger that we can measure through those emotions than from the actual survey responses themselves. The future is there is no survey. It's a short video or audio response, or indeed an artificial intelligence conversation that the customers feel that is very natural, and that we extract all the relevant data points, including NPS, from that emotional engagement. So there's a future, and I think it's only 3 or 4 years away, whereby you can have a short video question with a the customer, and all of the data sets that you need to extract are right there for us here and now.
Okay, great. Thank you. So that's going to take us to the end of today's webcast. I want to thank Carl, Ali, and Tom for joining us today. Thanks for fielding all those questions. If we did not get to your question today, we will be following up individually with you with your question. But great job on the presentation, Carl. I think we all learned a lot. And thanks to our producer, Nathan Sykes, who, since you didn't see any glitches, did an awesome job. If you want to know more about using video for your CX efforts, reach out to LivingLens or MaritzCX. Carl, Ali, or Tom will be more than happy to explain in detail the best options for your organization. So until our next webinar, have a great remainder of your day.